It was a wild win on Tuesday night in Dansby Swanson's return to Truist Park, but it didn't come without some concerns. Bryce Elder has another troublesome start. Will he get a postseason rotation at this point? We'll talk about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jacob Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at shortstopball. Make sure you check out the podcast there as well at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. If you're new on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Over 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. And one way to help support the show and continue that growth, hit that thumbs up button. Yes, it does help the show a lot when you do that. Thank you so much for doing that. Thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Big shout out to Doc's Cards, who returned to the comment section and let me know that he is still an everydayer. If you're an everydayer, let me know down in the comment section below on YouTube. On today's podcast, we'll recap Tuesday's game, the wild game that it was, a game that looked like it was going to be another dud for the Braves, and they come back and win, stun Dansby Swanson and the Chicago Cubs as they are in a real battle over there to make the postseason. So we'll recap all of that. Bryce Elder's start, great job by the bullpen. Some other miscues in this game as well that really, give me some worry for the postseason. Getting to our stat of the day, Wednesday, talking about home runs once again. What else with this Braves team? And then we'll set you up for Wednesday's game where Darius Fines is going to be taking the mound for the Braves. Well, let's get into Tuesday's game because it was quite the game, and it had a lot in here. You obviously had the return of Dansby Swanson. You had, a big deficit, Bryce Elder struggling early. But one thing we know about this team, and really since Brian Snitker's taken over, is you got to get 27 outs against this team. And that's hard to do with this lineup and just their inability to quit. And honestly, we haven't seen that a lot since they clinched the division. There hasn't been as much of that. And I think more than anything in this game, what I love to see, and I told you coming into this week, I want to see them back in that killer mentality. I want to see them locked in and focused. I told you when they clinched, I said, I'm not going to worry about what they look like, the results, any of that, the week and a half following that. But that final week, this week, is when I'm really looking to see, okay, are they locked in? Are they getting back into that postseason mentality, that must-win mentality? And I think you saw that in this game, in a game where they fell behind 6-0 early, and it looked like it was going to be another one of those ugly games. I had the title written, another ugly loss post-division clinch for the Braves. I mean, that's what it looked like, more the same that we have seen from them previously. But they did not give up. They came back in this game, and they win 7-6. A little bit of help. You got the missed fly ball in the 8th inning there. It looked like he just absolutely whipped on it. I'm sure the lights had something to do with it, but on the replay, it just looked like he missed it. But brutal loss for the Cubs for a moment, just to talk about them for a second. They're, again, fighting, hanging on to that last wild card spot, trying to hold off the Marlins and the Reds. Reds had a win on Tuesday. The Marlins got postponed in New York, and there's a lot of drama about that, as well as wasn't necessarily a lot of rain in New York, but they postponed it anyway. But there's a real battle for the Marlins there, the Marlins and the Cubs in that last wild card spot. The Cubs clinging to a half-game lead over the Marlins, and the Marlins hold a tiebreaker there. And the Cubs are 4-6 now in their last 10 games. So Cubs struggling a little bit. It looked like for a while that they were going to easily secure that second wild card spot and take on the Phillies, who they clinched a division, not the division. They clinched a wild card spot on Tuesday night. So they're in the postseason at this point. So that, was a big, big game for the Cubs right there. And they just could not get it done. So that's something certainly that's going to hurt them if they don't make the point is I loved the fight for the team in this game. Again, falling behind, could have very easily given up in this one, but they come back, get the win. You had the return of Dansby Swanson and got a standing ovation for his first at bat, which, perfectly understandable and certainly agree with that. Look, he gave a lot of good years to this Braves team, did a lot of good things there. I tweeted this out yesterday. Probably my favorite player while he was with the Braves. Plays shortstop, position that I love, and I just love the way he played the game. I think he's a great person on and off the field. I still believe that. I don't like some of the comments he's made about the Braves and Atlanta in particular since leaving, but I still think he's a great human being. But I want to see him and the Cubs go down. That's where I'm at, with my fandom of him, taking out the personal side of things. Again, I think he's a fantastic person, but on the field, I want to see him lose, and I'm rooting against him hardcore. And I got a lot of boos after that, which I love as well. Again, give him a standing ovation, everything he's done for this team. It's also at the end of the year. I honestly don't care anymore at this point. It's not the Freddie Freeman situation and all of that. It's completely different. And we've almost played a whole season. It's, again, I don't really care at this point. It's, worth talking about and noting because, he did get the standing ovation and he is coming back for the first time, but I just honestly didn't care that much about Dansby's return. Not nearly as much as I did about Freddie Freeman's. Offense struggles early against a really good pitcher. Another thing I loved about this game, look, you're going to have to face these tough pitchers in the postseason. But one thing, again, about this Braves lineup, you got to get through, try to get through them a third time, and that's tough. And you even saw with a guy like Justin Steele, who was dominating. He had a stretch where he struck out 6 straight batters. Those were all the strikeouts that he got. It looked like he was absolutely rolling. But that third time through, Braves get to him. Started with a Kevin Pillar home run, get it back to the top of the order, and they continue to get things going, and they knock him out in that 6th inning. He doesn't even get a quality start out of this game where it looked like he was just completely on a roll. And that's what you love about this offense is that they are going to keep coming. They're going to make adjustments. I think they're better than any team, and I don't follow every team closely, but I can't imagine there's any team out there better offensively at making adjustments. I think, all the first inning runs, I think that's because of their game planning beforehand, but you also see in game that they can make those adjustments at bat to what a pitcher is doing and be able to get them that way. So love that from this offense. Again, the way they're kind of just able to battle and grind him a little bit early. I didn't like the 6 strikeouts in a row. Those look pretty pitiful, but again, to stay in there and come back that next time through and be able to get to him and knock out a really good pitcher. Love that from this offense. And then you look at the end of the game, everybody gets on base, 8 hits and 4 walks. It's just a relentless lineup. You have to get 27 outs on, and it's tough to do without giving up a bunch of runs. So again, we talk about it all the time. This offense is just so good and so relentless. Bullpen was brilliant in this one as well. We're going to talk about Bryce Elder, but I don't want it to get lost that this bullpen was just absolutely magnificent. Stevens comes in, 1 earned over 2 1/3 innings. Johnson pitched 1+ scoreless inning. Hand came in and had a clean inning after Johnson started that inning and walked a batter. Brad Hand comes in and cleans that up. Thought that was a really good outing for him. And then Iglesias, I thought he looked really sharp in that 9th inning once again. Gave up the hit to Bellinger. Let Bellinger have his soft hits. He wants to pick up his soft singles. He had 3 hits on the night, 84.9 miles per hour, 82 mile per hour, 91.4 mile per hour exit velocity. I don't know how he keeps doing it, but it's been an incredible season for him. One thing I'll say is he hits the sweet spot. All 3 of those balls, they were on the sweet spot between 8 and 32 degree launch angle. He's 84th percentile in sweet spot. So while he's not exactly crushing baseballs, he is squaring them up, and it's led to a high batting average for him this year and what's been a really resurgent year for Bellinger. But that's beside the fact. That's the Cubs podcast. You want to go listen to Locked On Cubs. Bryce Elder's bad start. Should he even get a postseason start at this time? I think it depends maybe on how the first 2 games go. You lose the first 2 or you split. Maybe you go with who you believe gives you the best chance, whether that's Kyle Wright. Maybe that's Alan Winans at this point. I don't know. But who gives you a better chance to win that game 3? If you win the first 2, then, maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable just giving him a start, seeing how it goes. Either way, if you do start him, I think you got to have a quick hook. If he doesn't have it, you got to pull him out of there. And He looked so good in that first inning on Tuesday night. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch it. I mean, I was glued into that first inning, and he was filling up the edges of the strike zone. It was the Bryce Elder that I love to see, the Bryce Elder we saw in the first half and at the end of last year. And that second inning had to throw a lot of pitches. Some balls found some holes, which are going to happen with Bryce Elder because Cubs are a team. They're going to put the ball in play. They're not going to strike out, and Elder's not a strikeout pitcher. So when you put the ball in play, sometimes they're going to find holes. Lack of range defensively maybe hurt him a little bit there, but had some tough luck on some balls in play. And then, just defense didn't help him out either. But it was a long second inning, and he gives up 2 runs. Probably shouldn't have. He looked tired. I mean, his face looked red as can be. I wonder if there's some fatigue. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I've said this last time. I wonder if there is some fatigue. He's thrown the most innings he's ever thrown in a season. I got to imagine he's getting a little tired at this point. He likely gets one more start, but if anybody needs more rest and needs those off days before the NLDS right now, I think it's Bryce Elder. So, again, not trying to make excuses for him. You got to come back out. You got to brush that second inning off, and you got to get back out there and make and execute your pitches. He wasn't able to do that. But that second inning, I think, just had some lingering effects in the game, and he just wasn't able to overcome it. The line for Bryce Elder being good is so thin. He has to live on the edges. He has to get those borderline calls. He wasn't getting anything at the bottom of the zone. And, once he sees some of those balls go through, I just wonder, does he try to be too fine because he's worried about the ball getting put in play and finding holes? And when you have a second inning like that, I think it makes you maybe a little bit more hesitant to pitch in the zone. And that's just what he has to do. He has to trust his stuff in the zone, try to live on the edges, but of the edges of the zone. Try to miss the middle of the plate, obviously, as all pitchers do. But I just think that second inning where just nothing went his way, then he tried to be too fine. And when you do that, that's when you have mistakes. That's when you start walking batters. That's when you start leaving pitches over the plate. So if he could just get back to where he was in that first inning last night and just duplicate that, that's the Bryce Elder I want to see. And a Bryce Elder I still think can be a really solid 4th, 5th starter in a rotation. But that brings me to what I've said all along is my biggest concern for the Braves going into the postseason: walks and misplays on defense. 4 walks by Elder in this one. Like I said, it was a little bit of a tight zone, but I thought it was a well-called strike zone all night. But you can't have these walks. And the bullpen came in, didn't walk anybody, and that's great. And again, want to give a lot of props to the bullpen in this one. But the defense, it's just, again, I've said it all year, it's not errors. It's just plays that could be made that aren't. You look at the Arcia bobble on a potential double play. I don't know that they get Dansby there, but certainly once he bobbled it, you had no chance. You had the ball that got between Riley and Arcia. Again, I don't know if Riley gets to it, but he slips going forward, and then he doesn't have great range to begin with. Ozzie not putting the tag on Dansby. I don't know what was going on there. So that is that is my biggest concern for this Braves team going into the postseason. The walks by the pitching staff, which, could be eliminated by who you're throwing. And the fact that, Morton, he is injured and I want him in there, but he walks a lot of batters. Bryce Elder here lately has walked a lot of batters, more so for the bullpen. Don't want them walking guys, but I think more than anything, it's the defense. And again, it's not errors. It's just plays that could be made that aren't. But one thing we know about this offense, they're capable of, covering up a lot of those misplays by the Braves as they did on Tuesday night. Missed chances offensively as well. You had a runner on third with 1 out and didn't score. Arcia popped out, and then Michael Harris struck out the first opportunity. And then later in that 8th inning, you had first and third with 1 out, and Michael Harris struck out against a lefty in a terrible at-bat. Swung at 3 pitches, all in the dirt. It was just an awful, awful at-bat by Michael Harris. Braves got bailed out the next batter as Suzuki dropped that fly ball hit by Sean Murphy. But got to execute in those situations in the playoffs. I know this offense, it's so deep, and you can get that 2-3 run homer when you need to, but got to be able to execute and get those runs when you have an opportunity. All right, next we'll move to our stat of the day, a Wednesday segment looking at the home runs for the Braves, where they made some more history on Tuesday night. We'll discuss all of that next. You don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men, and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. The Braves will continue their series against the Cubs on Wednesday at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. All right, it's our stat of the day Wednesday segment, and our stat of the day is 300 home runs. Well, it's technically 301 now, but the Braves hit 300 and 301 on Tuesday night, becoming the first National League team ever to hit 300 home runs. Obviously, you had the no DH in the National League for so many years, but the Braves are the first National League team to do it, and they are coming up on the overall record of the Twins here pretty soon. If they can get 6 more home runs on the season. Only 2 teams in MLB history have hit more than 300 home runs in a season. It was the 2019 Twins and 2019 Yankees. 4 of the top 5 teams who have hit the most home runs in a season all come from that 2019 year when the balls were just juiced and flying out of the ballpark. So the Braves have the record for the most non-2019 home run hit by an entire team. The highest non-2019 total before the Braves in 2023 was the 2018 Yankees with 267. That is absurd. First of all, those 2019 balls, if you don't know by now, they were absolutely juiced. But the highest total team total for home runs non-2019 was 267. The Braves are at 301 without those 2019 juiced baseballs. The 1997 Mariners hit 264. Again, we say it all year, but I feel like it's worth continuing to mention. This is the deadliest lineup I think we've ever seen. And you can go back to the 1927 Yankees if you want, Murderers Row and all that. But this team, what they are doing is just historical. I mean, it is absolutely crazy the number of home runs they've hit this season. And it's a team approach. You listen to the interview I had with Cespedes Family Barbecue yesterday, and Jake Mintz talked about his conversation with some of the coaching staff and how that coaching staff is built, around the players. And I think it's a team philosophy. I don't think it's a coincidence that these guys come in here and all of a sudden they're launching more home runs. And no, I don't think they're cheating. I don't think they have PitchCom hacked or anything like that. I think it's just a team approach, and you see it, and you see it up and down the lineup. I don't think it's a coincidence that Arcia comes over here and he's pushing 20 home runs. Sean Murphy has, the most home runs of his career. Now you could say these guys were, on a projection to do that, certainly. But I think it's also just a team philosophy in the way that they instruct their hitters, in the way that they coach up their hitters to build this type of lineup. And I think it's also, the type of player that they build around and the high, average exit velocities that they have, where they've been top of the league for several years now. This is a team approach, and it's top to bottom. We say it all the time. 1 through 9 is capable of taking you deep. That's not hyperbole. That is a fact. Everybody in this lineup can take you deep. 10 guys with double-digit home runs this year. Pilar has 9 and just 187 at-bats. You talk about guys coming in and all of a sudden, having a power boost. You're talking about a bench player that only has 187 at-bats, and he has 9 home runs on the season. Is that a coincidence for Kevin Pilar? I don't think so. 7 guys with 20-plus home runs. Again, it's not just a few guys here and there. It's guys putting up big numbers. Michael Harris is 2 away from 20. Arcia is 3 away from 20. You have 5 guys with 30-plus and 4 guys with 35-plus. So, again, it's not full of a lineup of guys who are hitting double-digit home runs. It's a lineup full of guys with 20-plus home run power. And it's remarkable to watch them on a daily basis, to just see how powerful they are and how, just again, how it can flip a game so quickly with the threat of these home runs and the actuality of these home runs as well. And that's why you can never count them out of a game. That home run by Acuna in this one, even with that big inning, they knocked Justin Steele out. They had an opportunity for more, but couldn't get that other run in. It's a 6-3 game, still late in the ball game, going up against the Cubs bullpen. But then Acuna, 2-run home run. And just like that, it's a 1-run game. And with this offense, they are just a swing away when they're down by 1 run of tying it up or taking the lead. And it is just so dangerous, and it has to be so scary for the other side as well, knowing that, going up against this lineup, knowing that they can take you deep at any moment in a ball game and just flip a game around. It's why, even with the struggles they're having in the pitching staff, it's why this team is so dangerous in the postseason, because of this offense and just how quickly they can turn a game around. If a starter comes out and they don't have it, you fall in a big deficit, this offense can get you right back in the game. And so that's why they're still such a dangerous postseason team, even with the struggles of the pitching staff, which, by the way, go look at the pitching, around all the other postseason contenders. I don't think you're going to find too many, even Justin Steele types, unless the Cubs do get in the postseason in advance. There's just, not an abundance of great starting pitchers right now who are healthy and available in the postseason. So Braves are going to have their opportunities to put up some big numbers. The second stat of the day, wanted to talk about this. National League home field advantage, their magic number is down to 1. They just need 1 more win or 1 more loss by the Dodgers to clinch that. And their magic number for home field advantage throughout the postseason is down to 2. So 2 more wins or a win, an Orioles loss, 2 more Orioles losses. However you want to dice it up, the Braves are very close to getting that home field advantage throughout the entire postseason, which would be a huge accomplishment by the Braves to have that best overall record, have that home field advantage, playing in front of Truist Park. That is a big advantage. While I said before, I wouldn't go all out for it, it is certainly something that, the Braves would like to have. All right, next we'll turn our attention to Wednesday's game, where Darius Vines takes the mound for the Atlanta Braves. They try to keep the Cubs out of the postseason. We'll discuss that next. Don't get caught unprepared when disaster strikes. Make sure you have emergency medication ready. Jase Medical helps you be prepared. Their Jase case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. I ordered mine the other day, and it was easy process, simple. You just fill out a form. Some cases you may have to have a quick call with a board-certified physician. I did not. Sent me my Jase case, and it was packed with amazing antibiotics to have for emergency situations. You got another ice age coming along, you got a tornado, whatever it may be, you can have this Jase case right there in case you need it. Jase handles everything from the online evaluation, licensed pharmacy and medication delivery, and ongoing consultation and care. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Again, it'll be the Braves and the Cubs on a Wednesday night at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. All right, no real news to speak of on Tuesday. I mentioned earlier the Phillies did clinch a postseason spot, so they are in the postseason and most likely going to get that top seed. We'll go through the league Thursday segment tomorrow, obviously, and break down what to watch over the final weekend here, some of the division races. We talked about the fact that Darius Vines is going to pitch tomorrow, which we'll discuss here in a second. So still don't know who's going to pitch on Wednesday for the Braves, or on Thursday for the Braves at this moment, but it will be Darius Vines on Wednesday, and a well-deserved start for him. And let's just jump into Wednesday's game. It'll be Darius Vines versus Jameson Taillon. And Vines, last 3 games with the Braves, it's come out of the bullpen where he's been really solid. Came out of the bullpen on September 15th for Gwinnett as well and tossed 6 scoreless innings. I believe that was in relief of A.J. Smith-Shawver, who threw 3 scoreless innings himself. Throw strikes, big thing for Darius Vines here. Again, trust your stuff in the zone. This team, they will take pitches, make them beat you. It's, again, I've talked about it earlier in the year when they faced this Cubs team. It reminds me a lot of the Mets team from last year, where it's just not a ton of power, but they will make good at-bats. They will make you work, and they will put the ball in play. And when you're facing that type of team, you just got to make them beat you. You got to throw strikes, try to throw quality strikes, obviously, but you got to make this offense beat you. Make them string hits together like they did in that second inning against Bryce Elder yesterday. Make plays behind your pitchers. Going to be a big key again with Vines on the mound Wednesday. Got that good changeup that we've seen before. Hopefully he can fool hitters long enough to give the Braves some innings in this one. They need some innings. I would imagine you look at kind of a strategy to get through this game. If Vines can get you through the lineup twice, 4+ innings, I think that would be ideal. And then maybe you go to Tonkin for a couple of innings to bridge the gap, see where the game's at, and go from there. But certainly, would love for Darius Vines. If he can give you 5 innings, I think that is just outstanding. But again, at least if you can get you through a lineup twice, 4 innings, 4+ innings, I think that's what we're looking for from Vines on Wednesday. As for Taillon, it's been up and down. You look at his last several starts: 8 earned and then 2 earned, 4 earned and then 1 earned, 5 earned and no earned, 3 earned and no earned last time out. So he's due to have a bad outing this time around. Certainly hope that's the case. A 3.18 ERA in September with 28 strikeouts in 22 2/3 innings. The strikeouts are up in September. In his bad starts in September, 2 bad starts he's had in September, he's given up a combined 5 home runs. Teams or batters this year are they're slugging 570 and have an expected slug of 626 against his 4-seam fastball that he throws 34% of the time. That bodes well for the Atlanta Braves offense. He does throw 5 pitches 10% of the time or more, so he has the ability to keep you off balance, but 3 of those pitches are fastballs. I mentioned the 4-seamer. He also throws a cutter and a sinker. Braves hit fastballs really well and obviously hit for a lot of power. So hopefully that'll happen. Hopefully they'll continue to pile up the home runs as they try to set the overall mark for team home runs in a season and track down those 2019 Twins. Would love to see that on Wednesday. And the Braves go ahead and win this series and keep putting it to the Cubs, knock them out of the postseason. I think that's, a good goal to shoot for as you're trying to stay engaged here. And again, I'm watching these at-bats. I want to see how locked in they are. What are the quality of the at-bats that the Braves are having right now? Are they swinging at good pitches? You saw it, sometimes on Tuesday, but, certainly there were some times and moments in that game where you didn't see that. I want to see them locked in and engaged all 9 innings at the plate. Can't really take much on the pitching side of things, although Vines, if he throws the ball well, and maybe Winans, if he gets another start, I think there's an opportunity there for one of these guys to get on the postseason roster as maybe a backup plan. Or look, if Bryce Elder, in his last start of the season, if it still doesn't look good, maybe they have an opportunity to start a game. I mean, the Braves started Dylan Lee in a World Series game. They started Jesse Chavez in postseason games. I mean, they're not against doing the unthinkable, but certainly, another opportunity here for Darius Vines. Looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And it will start at 7:20 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Vines versus Taillon. Catch every pitch of the Braves hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of each and every day. If you're an everydayer, let me know down in the comment section below on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Follow the podcast at LockedOn_Braves. We're going to have our mailbag episode later in the week, our final one of the regular season. So be thinking about questions for that. I said we'll have through the league Thursday on tomorrow's episode, and then we will be getting into our postseason content. And it's almost here. It's the final week of the regular season. Enjoy these last games of the regular season. The Braves go for some incredible records. Cunha, if he can stop hitting home runs and get on first base, maybe he gets the 70 steals, but a lot of good stuff here to watch down the stretch. We'll be covering it all here at Locked On Braves. Again, thanks for the listens. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.